Hello, 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 everybody. Um, Today I have something super exciting for us to cover, and that is the Kato clay that is finally available in South Africa, thanks to Jesua Moore, Liesel, that has brought it in for us. And I am beyond excited to try this clay. I got it on Friday, and it's now Sunday, and this is the first time that I'm getting time to play with it, so I'm very, very excited. As you can see, I haven't opened anything. This is very much a first impression video, as first impression as you can get it, because I have not touched anything outside of the packages. Cool. Just a quick disclaimer. I do have a cat with an abscess on his head that is sitting next to me on his own special chair in the sun. So if he mips about a bit, apologies in advance. But let's get started. No, it's not playtime, Ishan. You see here he starts because I'm talking, then he thinks I'm talking to him. Ishan, you need to sit down. Come on. Sit. There we go. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the colors first, because I find it extremely interesting. The Kato range doesn't have variances of colors the way that Sculpey does. Like with Sculpey, you got like 8 different kinds of reds and pinks, whereas with Kato, you have the base red, and that's what you have for red, and then you have the fuchsia, and that's what you have for fuchsia. So you definitely have to understand mixing with color wheels in order to really get a large benefit from this clay, but it is most definitely a skill that can be learned. So setting that aside a bit for now. So we've got the metallic range, which are these 4 colors. You've got the pearl, the silver, the gold, and the copper. What I did notice was that they have varying amounts of mica density. So the copper is the least, and then these two are the most. These two's mica density is about comparable to Primo, but it's a bit hard to show unless I like actively go outside in the sunshine. So I'll add some inserts afterwards with the videos that I've taken for this. The colors is not quite the same as what it is with Sculpey. So the copper and the gold is a bit more orangey than what Sculpeys are, but it's a different clay. It's to be expected, Then the mixing primaries. So I've got the Sculpey colors in all the colors except the cadmium blue in closed packages for comparison purposes. I do have a small bippy of cadmium blue, luckily, that we can compare. So your 3 primaries, which is red, yellow, and blue, the typical school time primaries, are over here. And then from Primo, you've got cadmium red, cadmium blue, and cadmium yellow. So you can see the yellow is a bit brighter on the Kato than what it is on the Primo. The red is quite close. I would say the cadmium red is a little bit more orangey actually, whereas this is more of a true red. And then these two are very, very close to each other. And then if we take a look at the CMYK primary, so that's red, fuchsia, or magenta, and not teal, cyan. So with Primo, you don't actually have the proper primaries. These are the proper CMYK primaries. So if we take a look at Primo, you've got your standard cadmium yellow, then you've got fuchsia, and you've got turquoise. Now, as you can see with the fuchsia, it's a bit more of a reddish color than the magenta. That's the proper magenta. And then with the cyan, the turquoise is a bit of a greenish color if you actually put it next to it. So that I find very interesting. I'm very excited to see how the Kato clay is actually going to mix up and have a look at that. And then just to cover all my bases with the comparisons, I know that some people prefer the ultramarine blue in the Sculpey primaries. So here's the ultramarine blue, this is the Kato blue, and this is the cadmium blue from Primo. So as you can see, this color is quite dark. It's almost like in comparison to these two, it's almost like a navy. So I know that with color mixing, some people prefer it. It's up to your benefit, your preference. It's all good. Um, as I always say, there's no such thing as a perfect clay, only perfect for you. So if ultramarine blue is your ticket, please don't feel bad about using it. Cool. So let's set all of these primos aside because we're not going to be playing with those today. It's only Kato today. The other exciting thing that I really am excited about is that the translucent from Kato is a very white color in comparison to the Primo ones. Quickly grabbing my Primo translucent here. So this is not the white translucent, this is just standard translucent, and as you can see, it's very white in comparison. It's not white, here's white. So yeah, there is still a bit of a difference, but not so much as what it is with Primo. So I'm very excited to see how this is going to bake up. Then the other product that I'm very, very excited about is this bad boy. So the blackout is meant to be used to make any clay black. So I'm very excited to see how this works. Super excited. So we'll have a look at that as well. Then I have also bought the liquid clay, the clear one. Apparently it has a very resin type look to it, so we are going to be seeing that too. I have a suspicion I'm going to break this video up into two parts, where there's the initial impressions and working with it, how it is to work with, and then another one where I actually talk through baked pieces and my experience with it, and maybe show you guys a technique or something to add a bit of meat to it. But cool, let's get to it. So I'm going to open my first one. My preference of primaries are these, the CMYK primaries. So I'm going to have a look at them first before anything else. So opening up. I have heard that some people say it's quite a strong smell that Kato has, but apparently it's more like a Barbie doll or a rubber ball or something like that it smells like. So let us see. I did notice when I opened my package, like it smells different than when I get things from Primo and such. But yeah, let us see here. Cool. Okay. You know what? You know when you buy those inflatable pool toys, it smells exactly like that. Exactly, like to the T. It smells like inflatable toys. Toys. Right off the bat, I can tell you guys that the clay is quite a bit harder than what it is for Primo. But it's not that it's not possible to bend it. It's still possible. Having a look. Okay. It is a bit of a shattery looking clay, the same way as what Primo Professional is, where it breaks apart, it doesn't bend apart. But let's see how it goes. I'm going to condition this piece by hand, and then the next one I'm going to slice and put straight through my pasta machine, and then we can see how that goes. Because I know some people struggles quite a bit with conditioning things by hand, myself included, because I've got a bit of risk of rheumatoid arthritis in my family, so I have to be careful around that, especially around my thumb joints. It is quite a bit crumbly while it's still unconditioned. I'm not too worried about that though, because Fimo Professional does exactly this if it's not like super duper fresh, which is perfectly fine. This is entirely normal, nothing wrong. I know that some people have the expectation that polymer clay has to be like super soft, but it's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Where if your clay is super soft, it means that if you need to move it around, then it's going to lose its shape, which is great for if you want to do something like sculpting, where you need little pressure to make bigger differences. But if you're making stuff like earrings and you lift it up, then what's going to end up happening is that your shape is going to misform whenever you lift it and move it. So it's just something to bear in mind when it comes to soft clay. It's harder to work with it for earrings. It's certainly not impossible. You can absolutely make it work, but it does make your life a little bit harder. Alrighty. Um, so having conditioned this piece by hand, I can tell you, rolling it in your hand is a little bit hard. It's not fully conditioned yet, as you can see. I want to put it through the pasta machine before, because otherwise I'm going to be driving myself nuts. But it does need quite a bit of conditioning. It's not a easy conditioner the way that for example gecko clay is, or polysoft or fibersoft, or some of those softer types. Let's quickly finish conditioning this one through the pasta machine. Okay. It needs quite a bit more work. I'll work on that a bit more because I want to color mix. So let's get into that. Let's maybe just use a scissor for this. Makes our lives a little bit easier. You don't have to suffer, you know. Okay. So this one I'm going to put straight through the pasta machine, no playing around. Where is my blade? There we go. Okay, so taking a straight cut. Goes through all right. My pasta machine is faulty, but that's all right. Straight through here. Okay. When going straight through the pasta machine, it is quite a lot crumbly. Oh gosh, this is not going to work like this. I'm going to have to make a plan here. Okay, let me just put these crumbs there because they're all different colors. Let's have a look at how this one is. Maybe the turquoise is just a bit older slash harder, which is also entirely normal. I think for a lot of us that haven't been doing this for a while, we've been quite spoiled, because with everybody picking up the hobby during lockdown and stuff, most of the clay that we've been getting was fresh clay. So we're used to having clay that conditions very easily because it is still fresh. But normally, clay takes quite a bit to actually condition. Oh, I'm going to drive myself mad with my pasta machine not cleaning it. Okay, this one is also quite crumbly. Alright, I'm going to quickly condition these clays and then I'll be back when I'm done. Alrighty, I am back and I have worked out the best way to condition Kato and effectively hack it. Let me just clean my roller here from the fuchsia. Magenta, that one. dry it a bit. Oh, speaking of, pro tip, if you use wet wipes to clean your surfaces and such, before you roll out on it again, use a tissue or something like that just to wipe it dry, because otherwise things are going to squidge around and not do what it's supposed to be doing. So, the best way to condition Kato is not to put it through your pasta machine to start with, and also not to roll it in your hand to start with, but straight roller directly onto the clay. So if you start by squishing it like this, to just get the clay moving, and then fold it over a bit and keep squishing. If you keep squishing until it is in such a shape that the clay wants to actually stick to each other, not come apart the way that it is now with its completely unconditioned form, and only then put it through the pasta machine, you have a much less crumbier time. So as you can see, even with the hand rolling, it was a lot crumblier than this. This way it's still shattery, but it's staying together, it's not crumbling, which is fantastic, because the crumbs make me mad. And then you just keep squishing. So this one is almost ready to go through the pasta machine. I'm not going to put it through the pasta machine because I've got a bit of conditioned piece there I'm going to be using for color mixing. But yeah, so about where it is now is where I would be putting it through the pasta machine to continue conditioning. It's by no means finished conditioning at this point. It needs a bit more in the pasta machine, because as you can see here, the layers are peeling apart, which is a hallmark of not being conditioned, when it doesn't want to stick to each other, because that means there's still portions of polymers inside of the clay that hasn't been moved around and they're not sticky yet. Not that this is a sticky clay, like as far as clays go, I would say this is the least sticky clay out there. Which would incidentally make it quite cool for flowers, so I would love to see how that goes. I'll give it a whirl. But yeah, so this is now pasta machine time for this puppy. Not that I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it right there. Cool. Okay, so moving along. Color mixing. I have conditioned us a bit of blue, a bit of red. Oh, that red got sticky there. A bit of magenta and a bit of cyan. What I'm going to be using now is a new product from Lily, from Claycat, which is the mixing cats. So this cutter is not 3D printed, it's resin printed. So you'll see that there's a bit of residue. That's perfectly normal for it, but the plus side is just look at that cutting edge. And the other plus side is that it doesn't get stuck to cutters, well, clay, that is. So this is now rolled out on a number 1, which is quite thick. So I'm going to squish out 2 catties. I just said it doesn't get stuck so much. In the defense of the cutter, this is much thicker than what I would normally cut. And I didn't stick the clay down too well. So I'm going to cut out 4 mixing cats of this smaller size. Yo, Lily, please forgive me. I'm completely butchering your brand new cutter terribly. Cool. So there's 4 of them. And then I'm going to put this blob aside a bit. And then I'm going to cut 2 of these. I think I should have rolled this clay a bit thinner, but it is what it is now. And then 2 of these. And then the same with these bad boys. Cool. So what I'm going to be doing now is mixing them. Let me just quickly wipe down here so I don't pick up any color crumbs as I'm putting them. So we've got 4 yellow ones. Come, Papa. So I'm going to be putting 1 blue one with that one, 1 blue one with that one, then 1 magenta. Oh, there we go. There we go. Yes, my brain started working. Look at me go. It started working. Cool. So as they're sitting here, we've got all of our color combinations. We've got red and blue, yellow and blue, red and yellow, yellow and cyan, yellow and magenta, cyan and magenta. So because they're equal shapes now, I'm going to be mixing them and then see what is the color balance between them, which will give us a good idea of how balanced this yellow is. So I'm going to mix them and I'll be right back. And bada boom, there we have it, folks. So this is the CMYK color mixes. So this is the cyan and magenta, the yellow and magenta, and the yellow and the cyan. This is the red, blue, green, red, blue, yellow mix. So this would be the yellow and blue, the yellow and red, and then the red and blue together. So as you can see, in my opinion, it's quite a balanced mix. The difference between the yellows that's been mixed in is good. It's very balanced. So in closing, because this video is now already like 23 minutes long or so, in closing, I think that if you enjoy using Female Professional, you are going to enjoy Kato. If you absolutely abhor Female Professional, maybe consider trying a small block of Kato, because the conditioning experience is a bit different. I find that Kato conditions a bit easier than what Female Professional does. Female Professional needs a lot of motivation to do a thing, whereas this doesn't need too much. The smell, as I'm sitting now here, I can't tell you I'm smelling anything. You get used to it quite quickly. So I don't think that should hold you back from trying it. It is a very interesting clay though, and I'm looking forward to my future experiments. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.